on the Ohio State Sports Network. Presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
All right, Buckeye basketball fans, back here at our network studios. I'm Timmy Hall. Thank you for being with us. Hopefully, this is just a temporary bump in the road to what otherwise has been a nice run for this Buckeye basketball team. You never want to see an impressive Big Ten road win, especially against Illinois, walk out of there like that. 87-79, Fighting Illini get that win. If you were following along with this one, but maybe didn't have both eyes on it, and you were hearing that the Buckeyes had a nice 9-point lead in the first half, then that lead quickly got evaporated. They had another 9-point lead that quickly got evaporated, but then they opened up an 11-point lead early in the second half. And look, I know you can say, you get an 11-point lead on the road, you must win, you absolutely have to win. I like to think that way too, but I also live in the real world, and I know that when you're playing on the road against a good team like Illinois, who had lost 3 out of 4 and who is just flat out a better rebounding team, you knew that going in, and that means you got to work a little bit harder, right? You've got to do some different things better to make up for that. For most of the game, Ohio State did, but not for all of it. That's what made this so difficult, is you had a lead like that, but it still wasn't enough. That's how challenging it is, life on the road in the Big Ten. And I would hope that not all is lost just on this one loss. They had won 3 games in a row. If you look at the 2 road games in a pack together, the 2 big road games in the stretch, not dismissing Penn State, that was huge too. And the way they ran away with that one and basically beat those guys by 20, that was big for a quad 1 win. But I'm talking about at Purdue and at Illinois. When you would look at the schedule, right, those ones that you circle on the schedule, at Purdue, at Illinois, they're those types of games. And don't lie. When you're doing the win-loss, if you're a nut job about this and you get the Buckeye basketball schedule out beginning of the season, you're looking at all the games. You're like, okay, we could win that one. We could win that one. That's probably a loss. We can win that one. You'd have put an L next to both of those games. You would have done it. So they won one of them, and that was nice. You had a real good shot to win two, and then you get greedy, and you're playing good basketball, you want to see it through. So the 2 things here that really stuck out to me, it was Junie Mobley, it was John Mobley, and how he's right on that brink right now. He is teetering on that brink of being a sensational player. And this was probably by design. You heard Jake Diebler talk about Brad Underwood's defense and Illinois' defense, how they want to get you off that 3-point line and sort of force you into that mid-range game. And this has to be a component that Mobley picks up. We know it's a component that Bruce Thornton has picked up along the way because he's been great at it at times. But for a stretch in that game, when it was John Mobley on the ball, he was opting to go with some of those open looks he had when he was able to get into that mid-range area, and he didn't have a hand in his face. And an elite offensive threat like John Mobley, you think in your mind that you're going to make those shots, and he just went so ice cold. And the difference with this one, even though he scores 18 points and he's 4 for 8 from 3-point land, so he does what we've wanted. He does what we've asked for from 3-point land. Finally has that 50% night. It's huge, but he's 6 for 21 overall, and that is a backbreaker from one of your big-time scores. That lack of efficiency right there was killer. And then Bruce was missing a ton of those there. From the Bruce 3, when they were up 68-63 with 7:35 left in the game, to when Devin Royal got that tip-in dunk, but it was kind of out of reach at that point, they went 1 for 12. An absolute lid on it. Like I haven't seen a lid on it for this team in a while. And again, a lot of those were good looks. Illinois was living with giving them to him. It's like Jake talked about being a little sped up. And this is not usually what we're going for in this offense, but no one's in front of me. Like I said, I don't have a hand in my face. So maybe the prudent thing to do, instead of try to throw a pass where I don't quite see a passing lane, is to just go up with a shot. But yet they're not falling, and it played into their hands. And then, of course, it affected Ohio State's defense. There had been a nice uptick, a nice positive trend with Ohio State defensively that went out the window today. And it was just because of the way that Illinois was able to do what they were doing on the offensive glass And the way they were able to drive, I thought a lot of Ohio State's defenders on the perimeter, Micah Parrish a couple times, just beat quickly off the dribble. And then Illinois is able to get to the basket too easily. They chuck a lot of threes for the most part. They were only 4 for 20 from downtown. So you almost wanted to sag back a little bit more. Like if you're, saying like what Ohio State was doing in their mid-range and not able to knock down hardly anything, you could have lived a little bit more with Illinois shooting more of those threes. But of the 30 buckets that they made, 26 of them were not from three-point land. And I would venture to say most of those were in the paint. And dunks or easy baskets, buckets where they were getting contact, making them, and then going to the free throw line where they shot 31 times to your 15. Great percentage from the Buckeyes from the line, but they got doubled up from the charity stripe. The glass, of course, was a huge thing. You knew it. You knew that Illinois is one of the best rebounding teams in the country. And when they have Tomislav Ivisic, I thought that was another thing that was major that might get lost. The fact that Sean Stewart is sick and is gone from this game, don't see him at all. With his rebounding, his defense, his athleticism, the ability he has to actually score it when Ohio State was turning Illinois over earlier in the game, maybe some extra chances for some dunks or some layups there because of the way that Sean can get out and run the floor and fly above the rim. But with Ivisic in as a 7'1", 250-pound guy, the Croatian, he goes for 12 and 10. Right off of having mono, he gives you a double-double. Morez Johnson was major with 14 points and 15 rebounds, and it was the front line, too. Like, for Ohio State, you've got to hopefully have Aaron Bradshaw take this one, look in the mirror, and challenge him. Challenge him a little bit. You can't have 7'1" guys giving you 2 rebounds. That's something that you've got to rise above. You've got to be a little bit more focused. I know you're not the strongest framed guy, and you're giving up weight to both of those players. Some point, though, you have to say, I don't care, and that doesn't matter. You're just going to have to put your body where it's supposed to be and fight. Fight like hell to just get those rebounds. And don't let Johnson or Ivisic get to their spots before the ball goes up. A lot of that was happening tonight. You had 1 rebound from Ivan Yegovan, and you had 2 rebounds from Aaron Bradshaw. That's 14 feet, 2 inches of man right there. 14 feet, 2 inches of man between Bradshaw and Yegovan, and they get you 3 rebounds when you're on the road at Illinois. It's something that you just need a little bit more of going forward. And maybe time to challenge Yegovan, too. There was a stretch of the game where I wanted to see Bradshaw out and Yegovan put back in because earlier in the game, I thought Ivan was actually getting some hands in the faces of three-point shooters. That took him out of a few sets for him to be able to pad those rebounding numbers or get some boards. But he had some sets defensively, too, where he stayed in the paint and got his hands high and affected Illinois shooters. But all in all, that was a deficiency for the Buckeyes, their big man play. And it really stinks to see Royal and Thornton have 29 and 22. Royal with 19 in the first half was a big reason that they got out and had a chance to win in the first place. So credit to him and his consistency and what he keeps doing. You don't want to see Devin Royal get close to 30 and then not win a basketball game. You need to find a way, and hopefully more hands on deck next time. This just wasn't a game where they were clicking on all cylinders. There were a lot of things that Ohio State had been doing better recently, and it wasn't there today. It's a tough team, though. That's an Illinois team that had lost 3 out of 4, really needed this one themselves. If the Buckeyes won it, they would have actually been identical as Illinois. They would have been 14-8, 6-5, both of them, if the Buckeyes survived and won this. Think about that. They were a second half away from being ahead of this Illinois basketball team that we expected to be great and a Final Four contender at the start of the season. And there were a lot of folks that were ready to jump into the ocean on this Buckeye team when they were in the second half against Purdue. They were a second half away from being 10-9 and everyone being out. But this is a team that still has chances coming up to continue to put together their tournament resume. So hopefully they can do that. We'll get our assistant coach in today. We're going to talk to Jamal Walker. So some defensive questions there coming up. Final score, 87-79. Illinois takes down Ohio State. More of the Encova Insurance postgame show coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Huntington is banking that just clicks. Like asterisk-free checking. An account that's filled with features, but no monthly maintenance fee, no matter what. Because it's your money, right? So we think you should keep it. It's just one more way we're looking out for people every day. Is your bank looking out for you? Maybe it's time to switch. Visit your neighborhood Huntington branch or make the switch at huntington.com/yourmoney.
Union Home Mortgage knows Buckeye fans never leave Ohio State behind. We've helped millions of first-time home buyers get into their dream home through our 1% down payment program. Put as little as 1% down, and UHM tosses in up to 2% on the house. Learn more at UHM.com or call 877-846-4968. Union Home Mortgage Corp is an equal housing opportunity lender. NMLS number 2229. UHM will contribute up to 2% down, no greater than $2,000 towards a 3% down payment. Home buyers responsible for the remainder of the down payment. This offer is available for the purchase of a primary residence only. For full terms and conditions, visit UHM.com.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at Safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Your home for Ohio State Athletics. The Fan. Now back to the Encova Insurance Buckeye Postgame Show on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Welcome back, Buckeye basketball fans. It's extended post-game coverage. I'm Timmy Hall here at our network studios. 87-79, Illinois wins the fight over Ohio State. This was a much closer basketball game than that. This was one that Ohio State had control, dictated a lot of it until late in the second when that Illinois crowd came alive and the Orange Crush came roaring back. We go back out there to Champaign, and we're going to talk with one of the Ohio State assistant coaches. Tonight, we talked to Jamal Walker. Jamal, appreciate the time. Was this a situation here maybe where one side of the ball started to affect the other because the shots just weren't falling for that stretch in the second half? It was killer. Did that affect the defense a little bit?
Yeah, anytime you don't make a lot of shots and make their team take the ball to the net, it can have an impact on your defense. And we can't allow that to happen. We got to do a better job of not allowing the shots dictate our effort and our intensity and focus down at that end of the floor. And it did happen in some ways. And credit to them. They found some things that worked really well for them. Will Riley did a good job in the second half scoring the basketball. And, he posed a problem with us with his length and size and his ability to get in the paint. And so credit to those guys as well for making that thing happen over here at Illinois.
When you know that you're at a disadvantage just in the numbers, and Illinois averaging 45 rebounds a game, you guys 35, how do you try to attack that? How do you think you guys did overall in that department today?
I thought in the first half, I thought we did a really good job. They got three early, and then we kind of settled in and did a really good job. And in the second half, they got to the point where they drove the ball and it broke us down. And when you get broke down and they're getting to the front of the rim, it creates rotations, and it's hard to really box out and get some rebounds. And so that makes our guards have to come down and be physical with their big guys. And they're playing a 6'10" kid and a 7-foot kid, and that makes it really difficult for us.
Jamal, what are you going to tell a guy like John Mobley about his performance today? Obviously, he's got so much talent. He's already such a great player. What do you tell him about this one?
Well, I think you learn. I don't think it makes a difference if you win or lose, that you always have to learn and grow. So I think it's the same approach, whether it's a win or a loss, a good game or a bad game. How can I continue to get better? And I think it's a process-oriented deal for any good player. And I think when he takes that and learns and utilizes that in the right way, he'll continue to maximize his potential as a player, as a freshman, and moving forward.
Explain it to us, Jamal, because it still looked like a lot of the shots in the second half were good looks when you guys are going cold. But obviously in the two recent games, what you've loved from John is he's had 8 assists in both of the last 2 wins. And today as a team, you guys had 6. So help us out with what was Illinois doing out there that getting you off the 3-point line and making that tough for you guys to share the ball like you have recently?
Well, if you look at analytically the numbers in which when you look at Illinois and their defense, they're one of the top teams in not giving up assisted field goals. And so their style of play kind of impacts that. When you drive, they usually typically stay at home, meaning they don't get off shooters too often. Mm-hmm. And so they make you play kind of a 2-on-2 game with their big guy and the guard who may be driving. And so, you got to be able to make some of those shots in and around the rim. And we did that for a pretty good level, but we also got baited in some tough shots, free throw line to inside the 3-point line. And we were talking to our guys about not taking too many of those, and we kind of got baited into that. And so we got to do a better job at our shot selection, especially in that we had them up 11, and we had some shots that we probably talked about as a staff that we didn't really want them to take. And, he took them and we missed them. And, it's kind of just a make them miss type of deal sometimes. Defense
that forces you into some of those lower percentage 2-point field goals, and it worked for them in a stretch. But, Jamal, this doesn't have to be the end of anything. I mean, this was a road game at Illinois. How you guys have shown the ability here recently to take some tough L's and move ahead positively. You got 9 games. I'm sure Maryland's going to be ranked when the polls come out. They've been really good. You get them next up, and then that's the start of, a 9-game stretch to the end. What do you guys do to go back to the drawing board and stay positive here?
I think they do just that. You stay positive. I mean, we got some things we need to learn from this one. Same way we did with Penn State. There are some things we feel like we could do better. And so finding ways to continue to grow, and I know it's kind of a cliche thing, but you want to keep getting better. I feel like we've done that. I mean, if you look at our team from the late part of January playing Michigan State to where we are now, I think we're a lot better basketball team on both fronts. And so having that same approach each and every day to say, how can we get better, and look at ourselves and say, individually, how can we get better? How we can get better as a team. And then, try to play our best basketball at the back end here in February, March.
Devin Royal was great. Bruce was great as well. I'm sure those guys will lead him this week and have some good practices and get ready for Maryland, Coach.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
Yep, no doubt about it. There he goes. Jamal Walker, everybody, one of the fine assistants for this Ohio State basketball team. They'll try to pick up the pieces and go and get one their next time out. Big Ten play rolls on. There's not really any time to feel sad about things. So that's exactly what they're going to do. We'll wrap things up. We'll take a look at what else is going on today. Big trade in the NBA, right? I know we're a college basketball show, but Luka Doncic is a Los Angeles Laker now. Oh, my goodness. But again, the final score, 87-79. Illinois takes down Ohio State. More of the Encova Insurance postgame show coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
It's Toyota truck and all-wheel drive season with more all-wheel drive choices than anyone else, including all-wheel drive versions of the best-selling Corolla. Now through February 3rd, get low-rate financing on a Corolla or lease a gas-powered 25 Corolla LE for $229 a month for 39 months with $32.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
For more than 35 years, Hyde Park Prime Steakhouse has been known by Buckeye Nation as serving the best steaks in the city. Our thick-cut, aged steaks have been a staple in Columbus with 3 locations in Upper Arlington, Dublin, and downtown. Hyde Park is proud to introduce our newly added wine room at the downtown Columbus location, where a new elegance in dining will surround you. And coupled with live entertainment every weekend, Hyde Park will be the perfect setting for any occasion or the perfect night out. Hyde Park is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Join American Electric Power, Donato's, Kroger, the Ohio State University, Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/Buckeyes Care. More of the Encova Insurance postgame show coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Donato's is dancing into 2025 with a New Year's deal that's too good to miss. All January long, get 25% off everything you order online. That's 25% off Donato's famous thin crust pizzas, oven-baked subs, fresh salads, wings, desserts, all your Donato's favorites. So get 2025 started with 25% off your online order now and throughout January using promo code 2025. Order with the app or at Donatos.com.
High-scoring offense and lockdown defense are the ingredients of a winning team. For every other ingredient, Buckeye fans trust Giant Eagle and Market District. Ready-to-eat prepared foods, a thrilling selection of fresh favorites, and everyday value from our family of brands are game day go-tos. Plus, like the Buckeyes pile up points on the court, you can score perks and earn free gas and groceries with My Perks. Giant Eagle, a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The future of recycling is now at Rumpke Waste and Recycling. The recycling leader has opened North America's largest, most technologically advanced recycling center right here in Central Ohio. This one-of-a-kind facility features interactive displays, educational opportunities, and the ability to process over 60 tons of recycled material per hour. Rumpke is committed to recycling and sustainability efforts, and for more than 90 years, Rumpke has worked to make sure the items you place in your recycling bin get used again. Visit Rumpke.com to learn how you can team with Rumpke to put less trash in our landfills and more of it to good use.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Now back to the Encova Insurance Buckeye postgame show on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Welcome back to our network studios. Buckeyes take an L, game that they were up 11 in the early portions of the second half. It was looking good. Possible chance to keep this streak going. And if you had a 4-game win streak capped with this victory on the road against Illinois, road wins at Purdue and at Illinois, that would have been huge. You would have been in a wonderful place with your NCAA tournament resume. You would have been off the bubble line going into the start of this week with this win. With it still kind of bubbly, but 9 wins. I don't mean 9 wins. 9 games left. It's frustrating when you got these opportunities and they're right there. They're right there for you. 87-79, Illinois surges in the final 6 minutes. Buckeyes cannot buy a bucket. They were 1 of 12 from that Bruce Thornton three-pointer that put them up 68-63 to when Devin Royal had a putback slam. Royal had 29 points and 7 boards, though. My goodness. Bruce Thornton, 22 points, 8 boards, 5 assists. Not the best look that you got Bruce leading you in rebounds with 8. A guard leads you in reboundings, and you don't have anyone sniffing double figures there. Royal, though, with 7. He did his part, I will say, but I mentioned before, Bradshaw and Yegovan, we need more on the glass from those positions right there. How about Kasparis Yakachonis? He didn't have his shooting stroke, but he also wasn't chucking up shots. He was 2 for 8. Couldn't even hit from the line either, 4 for 8. He had 8.7 assists. You wouldn't have thought, right? Things you wouldn't have thought. If I see Devin Royal with 29, Bruce Thornton with 22, and you keep Kasparis Yakachonis to 8 points, you would have said that's a big Buckeye basketball victory, but it wasn't. Illinois had a lot of other components. Will Riley mainly. They said that dude is their top recruit ever in the internet era since they've really been tracking Illinois recruits. And he showed it off the bench with 24. Another huge difference. 4 points for the Buckeyes off the bench. It was almost non-existent when you've had a lot there before. But Illinois with Will Riley, they had it. So you got to go back. You got to find a way to make sure that you get this Maryland game because as we've said before, all of those home losses earlier in the season, they stacked up. They kind of added up, so you don't really have room for any more of those. Elsewhere in the Big Ten today, just one more, and it's coming up tonight at 7:30. Nebraska's off a big win over Illinois. They got to go all the way to the West Coast on the road at number 16, Oregon. That is a 7:30 tip-off. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Encova Insurance postgame show, brought to you by Encova Insurance. All rights to the material contained in this broadcast are retained as the copyrighted property of The Ohio State University and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without express written authorization. The commercial advertisements made in connection with this broadcast were made for the promotional purposes of the sponsors and should not be construed as an endorsement by The Ohio State University of the products or services. The Ohio State Sports Network is a production of Radio Ohio Incorporated. The announcers for today's game were chosen by Radio Ohio and Learfield in conjunction with The Ohio State University. The executive producer of Ohio State Radio Sports is Skip Mossick. On behalf of our studio producer, Bodie Wells, and for Paul Keels and Ron Stokes, I'm Timmy Hall, inviting you to join us Thursday as the Buckeyes host Maryland for a 7 o'clock tip. We'll be on the air with the Toyota Buckeye pregame show beginning at 6:15. Today's game has been brought to you statewide by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Again, the final score, 87-79, Illinois tops Ohio State. Thanks for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
And brought to you locally by your Central Ohio Toyota dealers on your home of the Buckeyes. Live and local weekday mornings beginning at 6 with Morning June.